And magically, you're all there on my screen. It's kind of like magic, Judge.
Oof.
How's Jessica this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Another day in paradise.
You hear the bell ringing.
The bell tolls for us.
We're on time. Andrew, are we recording? And
We're live. You are recording.
okay, do we have a do you know, Scott, if we're going to have a proxy from the school board?
Here she comes.
Okay.
And here comes Michelle.
Andrew, did you send the agenda or did Scott send the agenda?
We both did.
Scott.
All right. I get so many daggone emails.
Yeah, Scott's are so full now, Judge, you have to actually scroll down to see all the attachments.
It's an attachment-rich email.
We like those.
Well, we are all here.
We're here. Gina, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Sorry about that.
Morning, Gina.
Morning.
Well, if we could go ahead and call the meeting to order, please. And let's see, Jessica, if you could let the roll call reflect that we have two commissioners present and a proxy for Dr. Hub. And also a guest. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. Each of you, Scott sent out a copy of the minutes of our last meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
I'd like to make that motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Gina. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Thank you. Minutes are approved. Let's see, Scott, I believe one of our biggest orders of business today. Again, let me continue to compliment you on the packet that we get, Scott. I think it gives us a lot of information that we don't have to necessarily rehash during these meetings. So I continue to find that valuable. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mayor. Glad to do it.
Yes, sir. Looks like one of our biggest items of business today is you have a couple of items related to your relocation project.
Yes, what I've sent to the commissioners for today is the updated relocation project costs. I'm going to share that screen in a moment. There were also two attachments. There are currently two quotes out there. They're both from DCMS, which is the vendor that's going to be doing the renovation portion of it. Originally, we had two quotes when we were going to do the changes here. One was from DCMS for the physical changes, and one from Corson for the alarm, the cameras, and so on. They're both DCMS, so I wanted you to see both quotes. They're split out like the original ones were, but together, because they're both DCMS, they are in excess of $30,000. So it looks like we're going to need to put this out for bid. So let me share the screen with you here. Can everyone see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the main tab here, project budget, and you can see all of the estimated cost. I've broken it down into the actual renovations of the space at the water company building. The second one is the office security modifications, which came about as a result of the risk assessment from 2018. An estimate for IT architecture to build the VPN tunnel is in there. And then the VoIP telecom system, which you already approved that at the last meeting, there was 12 licenses and some engineering work there. As we talked about last meeting, the ISP through QX.net is going to be no charge. Moving vendors, it's looking like we're going to spend about $3,020. And then new equipment, furnishings, conference tables, chairs, desk things of that nature. And then each of these tabs, the office reno, it's broken down what each of these categories are. The security mods, the teller window, the security and access control, The IT access, the VPN tunnel build out, that's just an estimate that Andrew and I talked about. There may be no cost associated with this or less. There's the VoIP telecom, again, what was approved. 2 men and a truck came in. We had 3 vendors come in as well as DCMS. They were the lowest, and 2520 was their estimate. And that's actually going to be for 4 men and 2 trucks due to the size of this. And then we have 3 leased copiers through Bluegrass Office Systems. They told us it'll be about $500. They have to move those since that's leased equipment. And then on the last tab here, new equipment and furnishings, you know, we're going to obviously going to have to stencil the doors. There's some signage. The conference room, where the conference room is going to be, there are 2 or 3 windows. They have blinds, but the door does not. So someone can actually just, if you're in there with a taxpayer having a conference or something, or we're having a training, somebody could just walk up and look in. So we think the most cost-effective way to deal with that is perhaps have that tinted where we could see out, but no one could see in. There's some floor protection during construction. We think we can save some money by getting that ourselves. And then, of course, janitorial service to clean it up after all the work is done. And then there are a few ceiling tiles. Apparently they had an HVAC issue back in the break room over the summer, and there'll be a few ceiling tiles there. So that's the more down in the weeds. If you want to look at line item by line item, what we're talking about, the security mods and the renovations, those come straight off of the, hang on just a second here. The 2 quotes, bear with me. Okay, can everyone see that?
Not yet.
Okay, hang on. There we go.
Got it.
So this is the renovation, everything from the building permits to the construction dumpsters and all of the work that they're going to do. Like we talked about last time with the diagrams I gave you, there were some walls that are going to come down, some reconfiguration we're going to have to do, obviously some electrical, some HVAC, maybe need to move around a little bit, some painting, things of that nature. So that's the even more detail than what's on the project attachment that I gave you. So, you know, you can look through that. That was in the original attachment. And then there was a second one. This is the one I talked about where this is the security portion, which, well, the work will be done by Courson, but for some reason it was put on a DCMS quote here. But this is the labor and materials for the teller window, the security cameras, badge access control. We've got 4 exterior doors plus an interior door we're talking about, and all the equipment that goes along with that, the cameras and everything. So that's the 2 separate quotes that we're working on. So as I mentioned, we're probably going to have to put this out for bid. So I'm not requesting approval because we don't have a bid yet, but I did want you to see what we're talking about for you to have an idea of the kind of money we're talking about based on these quotes that they've initially put together for us. But just due to the size and the scope of the work, it looks like what we're going to have to do here is put this out for bid unless Courson can come in and give us a separate quote, in which case we'd have 2 different vendors and they'd both be under 30,000. So that has yet to be determined, but we're making plans to go ahead and put it out for bid in the interest of time.
Good. Scott, I think that's a good level of detail that makes me comfortable. And frankly, we're still talking about a range of financial investment for this move that's still pretty darn small. So these figures don't scare me, in other words. I'm okay with these numbers and think it's still a bargain to get you in better headquarters.
I would echo those comments as well. I would ask, does the budget have funds that would cover those, those kind of figures for this year? Scott?
No, we'd have to do a mid-year budget adjustment, which I'll be preparing that to share with you next month's meeting. Because obviously the contributions from all three entities in January would change on this. I'm assuming I'll get with Andrew in more detail on that. But no, our current budget would not have the surplus to deal with this. So once we're dealing with solid bids and what kind of deposits, if any, are required, I can give you more detail on how the cash will flow on that.
That sounds like a plan.
Good thing our collections are up in October.
Thank you. Any questions for Scott on the relocation project?
No.
Scott, then you've got us slated for a general discussion. Are there any particular issues that are on your all side?
Well, Gina just mentioned the October stats. Pretty much everything on the updates requiring no board action are the same every month, just different numbers put in. We continue to see strong new businesses opening. We're still averaging about 82 new businesses per month during a pandemic, which is pretty amazing. We're currently sitting at 869 new businesses that have opened so far this year. So that is all in there. The one thing I want to draw your attention to, aside from the fact that we did have a good collections month in October, is the project updates I put at the very bottom of the second page. And I can't tell you how proud I am of the team here, especially Jessica, and what she's doing here with some of these legal cases she's working. We've also started a PBA project. I think I mentioned that a couple meetings ago. I've been working with Tim over at the PBA, and we've gotten some very valuable information from them. We have collected in October and November alone $156,000 through Jessica's legal project efforts. And the PBA project for October and November has already collected almost $70,000 with people who have unfortunately thought that owning and buying and selling rental property was not a business. So they were not registered and filing with us, but we're getting that corrected. And that's a significant amount of collections over and above our normal collections that we have on a given month. And I just wanted to bring those two projects to your attention to let you know there'll be further updates in future months. And we've got some other projects in the works as well.
Fantastic.
Mayor, we don't have your audio. I think you may be muted.
I was just for a moment, excuse me. I think the tighter we can make that bucket and eliminate that leakage, clearly the better off we are. And Jessica, it sounds like you are earning your keep.
Trying to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seems like every day she pokes her head in the office here and says, "Hey, I got a $40,000 check, a $50,000 check, a $60,000 check." So they're adding up quickly, and it's really. I knew it would be a good project and it would yield results, but it's really paying dividends very, very quickly here.
Scott, it occurs to me that given some of the significant operational changes that you've made that are capturing more revenue and are trying to tighten up our operation at the Revenue Commission, it might be appropriate at some point for you to put a brief summary of those together and come to a fiscal court council meeting and update the council on the activities and the progress of the Revenue Commission. I hear about it generally, but I think they need to hear from you.
Well, I'd be happy to do that and honored to do that. We've already got a good basis, every year for your state of the city. Andrew has me prepare a highlight. So every year I've been here, I've been preparing some of that information and giving it to you every year. And some of it, sometimes you include that in your state of the city. So I've got a good solid basis on that. And I do track that. Things with changes we've made, improvements we've made. And of course, we've got some big ones this year that we've been able to accomplish as well. So let's definitely get that on the agenda at some point, and I'll put something together and we'll talk about that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
But that's all I wanted to bring. We don't have any refunds to approve or any. I know it was very heavy last month, but it's kind of the opposite this month as we head into the holidays here. But I did want to bring those projects. That's the only thing. Otherwise, there are no action items on those updates.
Sounds good. We'll take a quick, easy meeting, Scott. Every once in a while, they're okay.
That's right.
Tina,
Maybe-
anything on your mind from the school system?
Well, I was just gonna ask when they're gonna be in their new building. Do you have an estimated entry?
Well, I changed that at let me go back here. Originally, we were hoping to be in the first week of, oh, that's not it. First week of December, but with the size and scope of the project, the amount of work and having to put it out for bid, that's obviously not going to happen. So on the attachment that I sent you with the project costs and everything, with the green screens, I bumped it up to January 11th. That's our new target date. I'd like to see us in the first or second week of January after the holidays are over. Of course, a lot of that's going to be dependent on what's going on with COVID, whether or not the GC can get the subs in, whether they can get the materials, if there'll be any supply chain disruptions. So I'm cautiously optimistic that we could do that, but there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things beyond our control. But I'd certainly like to see it the first or second week of January at this point.
Okay, Jim, you got anything today? Judge?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I got distracted. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
Well, you certainly may. Andrew, did you have anything?
Oh, just we did, and we talked about this last month, but we are moving up the meeting again in December to the 16th. And as I mentioned, that'll be largely have to do with I'll have the same stats for you, of course, but it'll largely be the mid-year budget adjustment. Hopefully by then we'll have a better idea of what our outlay is going to be for the project costs and how we're going to make that cash flow. So, but that is the 16th will be the special call meeting. That's the third Wednesday, not the fourth, due to the holiday. So I just want to put that reminder out there.
Sounds good. Thank you. And Judge, that motion would be appropriate.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that, please.
All right. You may vote with hitting the off button on your screen.